Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Another night of no sleep, but you know what? We got plenty to talk about. Can't sleep when Bitcoin's moving like this. And of course, it is Good Friday, so hey, happy Good Friday to you, to all the celebrators out there. Want to wish you well, want to wish you the best Good Fridays possible that you could ever have in good old cryptocurrency life. It's time to teleport though, as we have plenty to talk about, and Bitcoin having a little bit of a move in the overnight session. So once again, we do have yet another rejection off this blue 377 exponential moving average right over here. Again, this is why I always say I'm a supporting resistance trader first and foremost, because, well, more often than not, a big breakout is not actually happening. It's more just rangy behavior. And of course, if you did take the short off the 5300 level last night, well, you're looking actually pretty good right now, as we did actually have that move down to 5180, 5190ish area, which we were looking for yesterday. So of course, I always want to get that out of the way first and foremost, because the lower time frames have been ruling the world, and really it's to be used in confluence with where we're ranging on the higher time frame. So the higher time frame range again is 5300. Sorry, I forgot to denote this. 5300 to this yellow 20-minute exponential moving average right over here, which is rising very rapidly now at 49.50, and will be rising about $25 to $50 each and every day. So that will be coming up to the 5,000 level within the next 2 days or so. So now back down to the lower time frames, this is where we can actually start to formulate some trades out, as Bitcoin has again rejected from that major resistance, which now we are showing and we are confirming this nice bearish divergence that we've been kind of having right over here. In fact, actually, sorry, it is not confirmed on the we do not have bearish divergence on the 3 hour. It's the 4 hour that we were looking at last night, and yes, this is very much confirmed. We have 1, 2, 3 stabs down below the exponential right over here, and we actually have taken that first move down towards the next support. So of course, this is the move that we were looking for last night, but I always want to remind people, hey, it's a game of patience, because when we're looking at these time frames, and especially on Bitcoin land and crypto land, moves have been happening, relatively slow. And I mean, do you consider this a move from 53 to 51.80? I guess it's over $100, so it's decent. But overall, it's a game of patience right now. It's my big thing. So going on to the 4 hour, we do have 4 hour Stokes coming down, getting back below the critical zone. I do like that. Now we're gonna have confluence, I believe, on all of the low, medium, and high time frames with that. So we'll start off here with the lower time frames. Bearish divergence on all time frames, I believe, below 4 hour. Let's see if this is mediated all the way up to a 6 hour. No, it is not. But you can see on the 6 hour, we are starting to break this exponential, and that is showing on all time frames now. Going over here to the 8 hour, we are taking a stab below it right now. In fact, this is not confirmed though, to be fair, but it is worth monitoring, because if we do get this next tick, which will be happening in the next 2 hours and 53 minutes, and that's not just going to happen for the 8 hour, but also the 4 hour, the 2 hour, and the 1 hour, then that will be confirmed, and I would be looking for some more downside pressure. Of course, it is very relevant to be looking at, again, these lower time frames, because this is where all the range behavior has been happening. So we have taken our first step towards this horizontal right here, the exact same level that we were speaking about last night. I'm not saying this to, say I'm so fucking cool, I called it. No. It's about showing how to do this so that you can do it yourself. And of course, again, once of supported resistance, we come up to our ultimate resistance right over here, reject from it, and down to our next support. And again, it can be that simple if you let it be. So it does require patience. It's not that much. It's not the most sexy trading style of all time, but it fucking works. And that's kind of my point. And as we do watch these, as we make these videos and watch this price action each and every day, you can see it kind of float on over time, and it plays out. Sometimes it takes a while, but hey, there it is. Of course, while we're on here on the lower time frames, if we do break this 51, what do you want to call it, 5180, 5190 support, I would be looking for a move ultimately down here to our lower support. Overall, here's the thing, is that we actually did, we just tested a major resistance. So typically after you go test a resistance, going to go test some supports. So I would be leaning down here with using those next kind of high or medium to high time frames closures to judge if we're going to see continuation or not, which does look likely. We did break the 21 exponential on the 3 hour dodo time frame right over here. It has not been shown on the other higher time frames, to be fair. 4 actually basically bouncing off of that area, but I would be looking for resistance if we do pop back up to test this red 10-some moving average, which is going to come into confluence with this more preliminary resistance right over here, kind of marking off this blue box territory territory, which I'll just shuffle on over here now, as well price action has moved further on to the right. And so I will be looking for a position probably right around here. Again, probably going to end up just being a little bit of a scalp. I don't believe that we're going to be seeing a major break either which way, whether you're bullish or bearish. I think it's time to be bullish right now, as we are still kind of rounding out this overall ascending triangle. The bulls are going to be looking at this. Bears obviously are going to be looking at this as distribution, which I think is way too early to call it that. If you're going super textbook from Wyckoff, it's a little bit too early to call anything like that. You could certainly make the argument that this is an ascending triangle. In fact, that would be my read on it on the lower time frames. It's the higher time frames that make me very apprehensive about this, however. So on the lower time frames, you can see that if you are looking at this as an ascending triangle, the apex is all the way in, 1st or 2nd of May, which means that we can spend some more time within this area. So whether you're bullish or bearish, this is what I've really been trying to get out for the past for the past week or two. It's a time to be bullish, is what it really is, as we're more likely to kind of stay within this range probably until this area right over here, as usually when these things get about 70 to 75% full, that's when they become extremely likely to break, and then with each and every passing day on top of that, just becomes more and more likely. So that would be somewhere right around here, around the 24th, which another 5 days or so. So sometime next week. We are basically on a holiday right now, and because we do essentially trade off of the regular schedule, at least in my opinion, because of CMEs, I think that it's unlikely that we see any sort of major movement today. Now, when I say major movement, I mean a break out of the major range, which is 5,300 to the upside and 50. What do we want to call it? Yeah, 50.85 to the downside. And yes, this is rising over time, so keep that in mind as it is a rising trend line to kind of represent that. So yeah, with that said, of course, if we actually do confirm below this level, yes, I will take a trade from 52, targeting somewhere right below 51. Again, not super sexy or anything like that. I would ideally like to get a position right around here if we come back and retest this blue box territory, as again, no trade is 100% guaranteed to work out. It's just a risk reward opportunity mediated by statistical relevancy over time. Sorry, mediated by your edge is what I really meant to say. So your statistical edge these statistics are mediated by your technical analysis edge over time. That is the goal of this game. And of course, if I do take a trade right over here, it just offers very nice risk reward potential, because I don't have to risk all that much to figure out when I'm going to be wrong. If we do take back above this area and we do close, even an hourly dildo above 52.60ish area, hey, get the fuck out. I would get the fuck out of the trade. Of course. So this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Just sharing with you exactly what I do in these same sort of situations. For full transparency, I'm actually still long, to be fair. I do have a resting order right now for 100,000 contracts at 52.50. Again, if that position gets taken out, it's a risk about $10. I'm completely fine with risking $10 when I'm trading for about $100 or a little bit more than that. That's a decent risk reward setup. That's going to be successful over time. Again, statistics though doesn't mean that it's always going to work out. So I always fear the person who thinks that just because it's a setup means that it has to work out. No, that's not true. That's more crystal ball type thinking, which is not what technical analysis is based upon. That's what I'll let other various people handle that, and just show I'll show my results, and they can, if they would like to show their results, they can show their results as well. Anyways, okay, cool. So let's go back on over here to the 12-hour. I believe the 12-hour is going to be running this one right now, as we do see the 12-hour is finding support basically off the 10 simple. But here's the thing with the 12-hour from the bigger picture time frame is we do have the golden cross right over here, right? We do have the green 55 crossing the upside of the purple 200, which my rule is that when I do see a golden cross like this on a higher time frame, on a relatively higher time frame like this, I really do not want to be going against it, getting too greedy for a big move, unless if we actually are below the 21 exponential. And right now we're well above right now. And sorry, this is this yellow moving average right over here, which is basically coming in at our lower support around 5,100, or actually 5,120 to be exact. But you can see that Bitcoin has been being walked up above this area ever since we got the golden cross right over here. That has actually been a good buy. So if I did get a chance to buy on that area, probably would for a bounce on the first pass. If we do break it, however, that's when things get a little more interesting, and I would be looking for a move ultimately down to, well, first target would be around 4,900, second target would be around 45, 45.50. 50-ish area. So that's kind of where we're at right now and what the stakes are. And remember, it's the higher timeframes that are going to govern the more intermediary to long-term look. When we're looking at those lower timeframes like we just were, this is, this is stuff that floats around all the time, and not to be misconstrued with the higher timeframe look. This right here, you can make all sorts of trades within this area. Of course, if you're a little bit more cavalier, you'll be trading off of all these horizontals or all these, all these trend lines. You don't have to do that though. Of course, it's the higher timeframes where the big money's made, typically in my experience. And on top of that, it's the higher timeframes which have been giving all the moves as of recent times. I mean, realistically, in the past 6 months, sorry, not even 6 months, but ever since, basically September, we've had, 1, 2, 3 moves. 3 moves. There you go. Again, to put in perspective, more often than not, big moves are not happening. That's my point. Big moves are not happening. And here's the thing. On all the higher time frames, we have a lot to be aware of right now, just because we are at a major area of resistance. We do have the blue 377 exponential moving average right over here. This has been the area to basically be a seller on for the past 3 weeks. I mean, this is, sell right over here, sell right over here, sell right over here. All of them decent scalps. But that also means, very importantly, if Bitcoin does take this area out at around 5,300, and if it even just closes a 3-hour dildo above there, because yes, we can make this formation on a 3-hour, I would be looking for this to rally all the way on to likely about 57, work its way into this top box right over here. So don't get me wrong from what I'm about to say. If that were to happen, yes, I would be bullish and I would be adding on to my position. But for right now, looking to me like coming under a little bit of pressure, especially as we kind of head into a holiday weekend. It's probably nothing's going to happen. But anyways, while we're in here on the daily, yes, so far another rejection of this. We have, I would say that the 10 simple is going to be our support from this time frame perspective. Going on over here into our oscillators, daily Stokes will be coming down. They will be getting to the edge of the bullish control zone very soon, so that is of concern as well. Not only because I would expect bulls to defend this area if they do want to pick things up and actually lift it above this resistance and make that run towards 57. But if you do not see that defense being played, then I would be very cognizant of that fact that it's more likely that we do follow the path of least resistance, which would be likely down to that 50-ish territory that we spoke about. Going over here to the daily RSI, we did get rejected by the exponentials. You can see all basically right at the edge of the critical zone as well. And typically speaking, I'd like to see another tick on this, bringing us below the bullish control zone before I get a little bit more excited about an actual move. But first, one thing before the next. Daily Jewel right over here is not giving us any sort of a signal, although it is a little bit interesting just because we did actually have a trend line right over here, which we did break a couple days ago on the 14th. So actually not a couple days ago, but about 5 days ago. And while we are finding support along this area right over here, which is a fib essentially, if you do have access to the jewel, this is typically a bouncy area. I would be looking for it to probably come back up and retest this area as these two signals cross, and then that could actually offer up a perfect signal. But for right now, that would be well and far away. I mean, it'd still take probably five days to a week, even if it was going to happen. And remember, that's a lot can go wrong in 5 to 7 days, so not really appropriate to be talking about it until it actually fully formulates itself. Going over here to the 2-day, of course, still getting stifled by this purple 200 exponential moving average, basically where the 377 is on the daily. But you can see that we actually have opened and closed our first 2-day dildo above this blue 377 exponential right over here. So we are finding support right over there, and that also means something very important. That means something very important right now from a higher time frame perspective, because we're seeing the confluences between the lower time frames showing support right there and also the higher time frames. So if you are bullish, you want to see this area being held right here, and that would really offer up the opportunity for Bitcoin to use this area as a base to rally off of and take out the 200 exponential to the upside, which would open up the floodgates for that move towards 5,700-ish area and perhaps even onwards. And you know what? With that said, with looking at this time frame right over here, I'm actually going to take off my resting order, because what I want to be looking at is I want to be judging how we react in this area over the next day, as I don't believe there's any reason to be in a rush. And I just woke up, so I was looking at that order, and I'll probably end up putting it back on later today, but I do want to be a little bit more lenient with it, again, keeping in mind that we are essentially on a holiday. 2-day Stokes have crossed back down to the downside, but unconfirmed. This is this is its first tick, and as you can see before, we have plenty of snakes around this area. On top of that, we do have this area also providing some pretty massive shorts for the, or some pretty massive downside movements for the past year. This is your 20,000 high in Bitcoin in December 2017, but each and every time that we've gotten above the critical zone and crossed back down below it, so crossing down on the Stokes and then getting below the critical zone right over here, those have been major dumps. This was your double top in February in 2018. This is your top at 10,000 in May 2018. This is your top at 8,400 in August 2018. And then once again, we're kind of doing this. We're doing this right over here. Not only that, but do we have divergence on that? No, we do not. Two-day RSI is something. This is the next big piece of the puzzle that I'd be looking for. What I want to see is I want to see the two-day RSI break this exponential right here. If that happens, I will take a short and I will put on big directional deltas. Right now, I would typically technically this should be seen as support, but it's going to take at least another 2 days for this to confirm either which way, right? Because we just got a new tick on this, and the next tick will be on the 21st of April. So tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time, we will get this. We will get resolution on this. If it's brought below this exponential, yes, I would take that position. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. If we bounce off that area, if we bounce off that area, we're gonna likely break 53 and move on higher. 3 day right over here. Same thing, same thing. 200 exponential providing resistance once again, but we did actually have a pretty damn good close on the last 3 day dildo. In fact, a very strong close. But here's the thing: if Bitcoin fails to move up from here, and this is where we start to get the timing component. As I really need to cough. Jesus Christ, man. Just waking up. I probably need some more water. But overall, this is where the timing component comes in, because the 3 day will be making bearish divergence if it fails to essentially take out the 200 exponential on the next tick. If that happens, that'll be the next major piece of the puzzle. But as of right now, it's unconfirmed and not something to be concerned with until it is confirmed. Otherwise, you're going to be trading a phantom. It doesn't matter. And more importantly, on the 3 day time frame right over here, we actually have a pretty damn good exponential moving average cross going on with the yellow 21 crossing the upside of the green 55. I think the last time that we had something like this happen was, we had it during no time in 2018. So the last time that we really had it happen was all the way back on over here. All the way back on over here towards October 2015. We crossed them to the upside and never again to the downside until when did we cross them to the downside? Yeah, right over here in 2018. So that took Bitcoin all the way from about $300 to $10,000. Well, technically, you saw $20,000 along the way. But my point is that this cross will happen. There is no avoiding it. I mean, unless we were to dump more than $1,000 today. Or sorry, in the next 3 days, we'd have to dump more than $1,000 to avert this. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I think that's a little bit less likely to happen. It's more likely that we get this cross, which would be a pretty damn bullish thing. Now, again, though, here's the thing. 3 day Stokes are getting very mature, and they are in that same area that we just looked at on the 2 day, which has been calling these last major tops. Again, here's your 20,000 top in December 2017, 10,000 top in May of 2018, and 8,400 top in August 2018. And once again, we're in this area. It is looking weak, but it is not crossed down, more importantly. So it's once again a waiting game. If you're looking for the next big move, it is more important to be patient here. If you're looking to be bullish, I'm still waiting for that 3 hour dildo close above 5,300. If that happens, yes, I'm looking for that next move towards 5,700, and then this cross likely going to get played out. And at that point, we probably move on higher. I mean, at that point, you got to start thinking about the monthly, because the monthly is getting closer and closer to being, to ending. And so we're going to go over that in just a second. But first, before that, we got to go over to the weekly. And the weekly is once again right at a major resistance, right at the cyan 89 exponential and the green 55 exponential, which did have a bearish cross right over here. And we're having our first test of that. And so I really, my big thing for this week is to see whether these moving averages diverge or converge. If they diverge, that would be bearish. I'd be looking for an ultimate move back down, at the very least, to the yellow 21 exponential at around 4,500, and then, perhaps even 4,100 after that. But first things first. Of course, if they converge, if they collapse on each other, then that would open up the floodgates and likely imply that we will move higher. So again, it is very important to be patient here, because the next big trade is staring us in the face, and it's likely going to be coming, I would say, between, well, it's very, very likely between now and the end of the week, in the end of next week. So again, we've been doing this for the past 3 weeks. One more week is certainly not going to, it's not going to hurt. And remember, this is a long-term game when we're looking at these sorts of things. When we're looking at the next big trade, it needs to be taken within this context. So keep that in mind. And these things will, certainly will come into play. And we should have some more insight of them by Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, especially with the weekly. We do see weekly Stokes getting way up there, just areas that we haven't seen since 2018. So would be a little bit more on the cautionary side. And of course, now let's get on to the monthly. Very important with the monthly. We do see that we're right at the yellow 20-minute exponential. And this is so damn important because as we get closer and closer to the end of the month, this is going to be my big insight for the next big direction on Bitcoin. Now, there certainly are a lot of competing factors here. We do see monthly Stokes hinting at across the upside. If these do cross the upside, that actually is what called the bullish momentum, taking us out of our last bear market cycle, to be fair, in 2015, right over here. They crossed literally right here in June 2015. So it didn't get you the ultimate low. The ultimate low happened right over here, but it did get you more on the side of the actual momentum. Now check this out though. Bitcoin did after that cross, which happened literally right here. I know that you can't see it, but I'll just once again highlight it. I'll keep my cursor right here, and there you go. Yes, right here. Bitcoin actually tested the 20-minute exponential right after that, didn't it? And rejected from it, actually. It came back down to its lows for a pretty nasty move. In fact, this move took us about almost 37%. And then obviously after that, it was upwards and onwards for the next 3 years. But my point is that, hey, even if you are bullish, it's not necessarily a time to be aggressive because of all these major movement averages staring us in the face and the full-on likelihood that it's, things typically take time. So with that said, that's why I'm not really in a hurry to be aggressive right now. Not only that, but on the monthly, we are technically still in a downtrend. So if you're just trading straight up trends, well, lower highs and lower lows is certainly not the most bullish thing of all time. Although I would also argue on the monthly, you probably don't need to wait until it makes higher highs and higher lows to judge if this thing's going to turn around bullish, as you'd quite literally be required to make a move above about 7,800 and then put in a higher low somewhere right around here, I'd imagine. And that's, you can, and this is also just another great look to see, hey, these things take time, man. These things take time. So while I did take off that resting order, I will be judging later today if I do want to enter in for a scalp, as when you look at the higher time frames, you really realize that these things, it's not going to happen overnight. The market doesn't happen in 1 day. It doesn't happen in 1 week. It doesn't even happen in 1 month. It happens over, pretty much like a half a year really is kind of like how you can judge the overall trend, to give that perspective. Of course, we are right at the 21 though. And my big thing with this is as we get closer and closer to the end of the month, if we do close above the 21, I would be looking for a move deeper into the 6,000s most likely. 7,000 becomes a topic of conversation at that point, and it would be very similar to what we spoke about last month with the green 50 right over here. We remember last month when we were judging the green 50 and saying, hey, if we close above this, likely opens up the floodgates into the deep 4,000s. Well, it did even better than that. We got all the way into the 5,000s. Of course, if we closed below the 50, I would have been very bearish, looking for a move down to the 2,500 or 2,000 even. But right now, Bitcoin's right here with another 10-11 days to go, and that moving average is currently at 52.40ish area. So we're about $13 or $10 off, which I'm sure we've all seen crazier things than a $10 move in 11 days. So again, if you were around like 5-6 months ago, Bitcoin had a fucking $300 move in 1 minute. That's insane. That's fucking insanity. So a lot of fuckery can go on between now and the end of the month. My point is just keep your eyes on this one, because if we do reject from this, it also implies something much more intense, as it would imply that the bots and the algos and the big market movers want to play out this bearish cross, which is still under pressure. It is still in question because I need to see it confirmed on a monthly. But if we do end below the 21, if we do reject from this area, I will take that as the initial hint that this cross is going to be played out, and we probably do make our way back down to, at the very least, test 41, 4,200-ish area. It's probably going to be 4,200 by the time that we get there. Would be a little bit more likely, and then at that point, you got to think more defensively, because if that area gets taken out, well, at that point, if 4200 gets taken out, we will retest we won't retest. It doesn't imply a retest of the 3100 low, but it does imply a retest of the 3500ish area. So again, the stakes are pretty high right now, and the next big trade is staring us in the face, but it will require a little bit of patience. Just like last month, waiting for the monthly to close above this area was kind of the impetus for looking, for catching this trade right over here, of which I'm still pretty much in, which I haven't really done too much with. Also pretty fucking boring, just holding the trade for the last 4 weeks. But hey, that's Bitcoin land right now. That's quite literally all it is. Again, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. So yes, we spoke about all of that. Of course, now let's do the daily rounds of what I've been looking at the most and what I'm really judging to kind of get in the next big trade. And that is the Mvt Signal, which, if you're not familiar with it, it is the network value divided by the daily transaction value. And this has been a perfect indicator calling all the major tops and all the major bottoms in Bitcoin's history. There you go. Just back test it yourself. Don't believe me, back test it yourself. There you go. And make your own decisions. Now you can see though, I'm sure the first thing probably coming up into your mind is that yes, it is accurate, but sometimes it can really stay in that red zone for quite some time and doesn't provide the most precise signals, which I would 100% agree with. So the way that I've been judging that to see if it actually plays out is I want to see us actually take out this orange moving average right here to judge when the bearish momentum happens. Now you can see that we had a little bit of a snake around it the other day, but it was unconfirmed. We neither opened and closed one of these ticks below this moving average. So to me, that is a big deal. But if we go back in time and we actually backtest this, we can come up with a very specific way of actually, judging when this is likely to play out. And that moving average on it is first and foremost very important for judging when the rest of it can actually fall. So again, going back on over here to this run, you can see that Bitcoin was signaling red right over here at around a price point of 7,300. That would have been an absolute terrible dog shit short to be taken right when it signaled red, because we rallied another $1,000 the next 2 days, or more than $1,000. And it wasn't until we actually came over here and crossed below the moving average right around here where the bearish momentum began, and that was the major gatekeeper. So without that happening, the rest of what I'm about to say does not matter. But it is worth monitoring because it does provide the puzzle pieces in place, and it actually does look like the other indicators do happen first before that moving average gets ticked off. So going over here to the Stokes, we do see that daily Stokes crossed down right over here on the 28th, which would have been right here at, around its height, around 82.50. So not bad, especially when you're going to be moving down to 6,000 soon afterwards. It certainly doesn't need to be perfect. And then we get back down below the critical zone right over here. So that's tick one and tick two. Crossing down, getting back below the critical zone happened right here. So again, getting the momentum a little bit later, but overall getting the full picture right, which is more important. Then we go over here to the daily RSI, which the daily RSI did put in a topping formation right over here. Yes, you can make formations on your RSI. In fact, I put way more weight on formations on the RSI than I ever do on price action. I do not like trading patterns on price action. I like trading patterns on the RSI though. And we did break, and more importantly, we did break the exponential on my RSI right over here and get kicked out of the bullish control zone. So that's tick number 3 and 4 right over there, and that happens at a price point right here at about 8,200. So getting that area again better, but prematurely before the moving average on the MVT was actually taken out. And then of course the final one would be the daily jewel. I know that most people don't have access to this, but I've been showing this pretty consistently, so there you go. Have fun with it. And we got in this more critical zone right over here. This one's the most cautionary one because it happens the soonest, and that one actually does get the top. So here's the thing: if we do go back into the more immediate time frames, we do see that while the gatekeeper, the most important thing, has not been ticked off, we have not crossed the moving average on the Mvt Signal. It is the time to be cautious, in my opinion, because we do have daily Stokes down, crossed way below the critical zone right over here. So that is, it's actually a little bit further away from price action now, not something that we really want to see. Daily RSI has been giving us bearish divergence at the top, although I believe that's majorly played out, and we are trading below the exponential. We are trending below the exponential, more importantly, as we got kicked out of the more critical zone. So that's tick number 3 and 4, and then we go over here to the daily jewel. The daily jewel actually did get into the more critical zone at the actual top right over here at exactly 54.50, or sorry, 54.66 and 6 cents on Bitstamp. So keep in mind the order of of importance is, first things first, the jewel is gonna give you the first warning signal, as each and every time that light blue signal gets into the more critical zone, it actually does call major tops. To be fair, if you actually line it up, one right here, 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 and obviously the top at 20,000, doing pretty damn well. So that's going to be the most premature one. Then we look at the Stokes. The Stokes already doing this as well. Then we look at the RSI breaking the exponential right over here. And then, of course, the most important one, though, for the actual momentum is going to be the MVT. And this thing is a little bit finicky right now as we do kind of, turn down. I believe it would take a move on price action back down below about a price point of 50.50 to really cross that down. And then we need to confirm a full one below. Otherwise, it can turn into a fake out just like we saw the other day. So keep that in mind. While it is close, it is not confirmed until that happens, and it is at least in my opinion, it is inappropriate to be taking positions before that happens, because you just don't know how much longer it can go sideways here, and you also don't. I mean, it could also be it's very possible that we do take a leg up. There's certainly plenty of bullish things going on right now, as we looked at on even some of the higher time frames, and of course the lower time frames looking like an ascending triangle as long as we're kind of walking up above 51. So keep that in mind, how all of the lower time frames interrelate to the higher time frames, and where that kind of brings us for the full picture. That is very important. Otherwise, you're gonna, you got to consider opportunity costs in these sorts of in these sorts of times. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in a trade that's not fucking moving. And really, realistically, for the past 2 weeks, we have not been moving. We've not been moving at all. Of course, you want to go over here to the weekly if you want to make this simple as well. If we just take out the low of this weekly dildo at about 49.12 on Bitstamp, I'd be looking, it's just no questions asked. I'm looking for a move down to 4,500. But again, we're well and above that area right now. And there will be indications beforehand going back down to the 3 hours. So relating all these time frames together, I'm not looking for, I would imagine that we probably don't even cross that MVT signal down until we actually break this trend line right here at about 50. It's around 50, 80, 50, 90, depending upon what time frame you're going to approach it on. But remember that that's going to have confluences leading on into our higher time frames, with first the MVT signal, then all of our dailies, suggesting this cautionary time, and then on top of that, then we start to, if we break this area right here, then our next major support is actually all the way down at 4,900. Well, what would happen at 4,900? Well, then we break the weekly consolidation, as the weekly closed last week as a long-legged doji dildo, which does signal indecision. If we just take out the low of it, that would imply that we're gonna have continuations. So understand how all these things kind of flow with each other, and that has been the story in the past. Now, even if we do play this out, does that mean that I'm looking for new lows straight off this move right over here? No, it doesn't mean that at all. What it means is it would imply a move back down at the very least to 4,500, likely 4,100, and then the game begins, because 4,100 is extremely important. It's extremely important from the long-term perspective, because as long as we're above 4,100, or I guess it's like 4,150 now, basically where the purple 200 exponential moving average is on the weekly, right over here. As long as we're above that, it's not really appropriate to be talking about like major downside targets, I suppose you could say. Because this is what held us back for the past 5 months as we consolidated below this area. So as long as Bitcoin's above it, I would be looking for major bounces. In fact, I would be a buyer of the 21 on the weekly at 45. I do believe that we probably do, at the very least, bounce strongly there. And this is all making assumptions right now. This is all making major assumptions. What if Bitcoin takes out 5,300? I'm bullish. I would add to my long position. I would be bullish for a move towards 57, and then you got to start thinking about the monthly. And if the monthly closes above this area, well, I'm gonna start looking higher into the 6,000s, maybe even 7,000. So keep that in mind. A lot is at stake right now as we get to the end of this month. May, traditionally a bearish month, to be fair, but again, I don't care about time analysis. I care about technical analysis. So yes, from a higher time frame perspective, I don't want to get myself lumped in with the super perma bears. What I want to do is I want to say, hey, from a trading perspective, I don't really start talking about lower targets, like super low targets, from this overall perspective until we actually break back down below, at the very least, 4,500. But really, it's the purple 200 exponential on the weekly that I'm most concerned with at about 4,150. If we break that, then that would imply a test all the way down here to about 35. And then you got to start thinking about, okay, this is the 200 simple moving average right over here, this white moving average at 35. If we do break that, that is where, as a trader, not as an analyst, not as a talking head, but as a trader, I take the trade for a move down to about 2,500, maybe 2,000. But for right now, we're obviously well and far away above that. It's just about, it's the same nonsense as talking about targets way higher. There, we don't have any confirmations just yet. This is just mental masturbation until we can actually confirm one way or the other. So yes, okay, great. Let's go check out CMEs right now. What are CMEs looking like? CME's looking a little bit pumpy. CME's looks like they actually want to pump back up to, they're going to be closed. That's right. This is very interesting right now. This is very interesting. So CMEs are going to be closed today as they do trade on traditional markets. But here's the thing. They closed all the way at 53.20. Holy shit. They closed all the way at 53.20. So here's the thing. When they open back up on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are on spot trading below 53.20, I'd be looking to be a seller. Anywhere around 5,300, as I do believe that we'd probably pop back around there. If spot is trading above, basically, if we get the breakout before weekend's end, I'd be looking to be a buyer, and that would be the first major signal that this thing's gonna blast up towards our next target at around 57. Let's see, we can make a measure move on this one. Maybe it's a little bit higher. Yeah, this one would imply 58. This one would imply around 58, which would be a perfect retest of the lows of 2018. So keep that in mind. This is very interesting to me right now. Of course, I do want to show the confluences with this. This trend line that we took out on the way up. If Bitcoin did turn back down, it's coming in right around 4,500. So I would be looking for major supports right around there. But overall, we do see. This is probably gonna be the next big insight into a trade. I guess the most premature trade that you could take. If on Sunday you do see that spot is trading below where CME is closed on Thursday, then that's gonna be a sell. If spot's trading above, that's gonna be a buy, and that's gonna imply major move up. So again, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. The stakes are high right now. Let's go over here. I do want to check this out. I do want to show the good old inverted chart because, well, it's a good old bias buster, right? And the inverted chart, what does it look like to you? Well, it looks like we're just still resting on this blue 377 exponential moving average right over here, which did not save my chart from last night, you bastard. Let's go this area right over here. Very simple chart to make, actually, though. So no problem. Right over there. And if we do take a leg down, it'd be somewhere right over here. Yeah, this one actually a little bit. Yeah, 58. Yeah, maybe my target would be 58 rather than 57 if we do move to the upside. But again, you do see this horizontal right over here, and you do see the 377 kind of rounded it out. Do we have any sort of bullish divergence coming on right over here? Well, yeah, we do. We do. We basically have similar lows right now. Is it confirmed bullish divergence? I suppose you could say that. Yes. Look at the way that the exponential is supporting the RSI right now. So you could certainly make that. You could certainly say that. But right now, as far as this time frame is concerned, we are in a downtrend on the inverted chart. So that would imply spot prices go up. As long as we're holding the 50-50 area, the 50-50 area, which I'm kind of been using interchangeably with 51. You do see that we are getting close to getting the death cross let's go back to the regular ones. You do see that we're actually getting a little bit closer to getting the golden cross in this, but here's the thing. Your first golden cross after a long time of being death cross is typically a fake out. And I've been showing this back in 2014, 2015, because there's a great example right over here where we're death crossed. And sorry, this is best to be shown on, we can't show that. Well, we can show this on the exponentials. It looks a lot better on the simples just because so many people are screaming their fucking faces off that the simple moving averages are about to have a golden cross and you should get long as fuck. But we can do this on the exponentials too. It's not going to be as granular though. So we get the death cross right over here, and for about a year, we're death crossed all the way up until here it gets confirmed back to the upside. And so I'm referring to the green 55 and the purple 200. Now you can see that over here, Bitcoin gets very close to getting a golden cross, right? Very, 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 very close. But a lot of the time, this is what you see when they get very close after a long time of being away from each other. It does fail. And why does it fail? Well, big market movers know that people are looking at this, and they know that most people, it's a very easy thing to call out. And when people get excited about that, when retailers get excited about that, well, the big market movers now have people to dump into because they know that, people are going to be looking to buy because they don't want, they're feeling FOMO. They don't want to miss the boat thinking that this thing's going to go to the fucking moon and never come back. Well, of course, right after that happens, major dump just right in your face, just red deals being thrown all the way down your throat. So keep that in mind. Now, with the simple moving average, you actually did get the golden cross somewhere right over here, actually, to be fair. I think it was like right here. And price action was very far away, kind of similar to what we're seeing right now in 2019, as the simple moving averages are going to be right around. I believe this is your 200, then the 50 is going to be coming in right around over here. So they are quite far away from price action, which is not actually a signal of a good cross. In fact, that is when I really do start looking towards something more like this. But it's the exponentials that I typically that I put significantly more weight on, and as you can see, they are still a little bit away from each other. It would take another 2 to 3 weeks of price action remaining above 5,000 for them to actually cross the upside. For now, still up in the air, and more importantly, it's the former trend still remains on the higher time frames, not the daily though, but our weekly and our monthly. Okay, let's go check out GBTC. What did GBTC do yesterday? Nice close up. What do we have to say about this? Daily Stokes down, daily RSI just popping back up to test the exponential. I don't think this one's too helpful right now. It would imply more continuation though, if I had to say something. It would likely imply more continuation. Yeah, we do see 4-hour Stokes up as well. That has actually been a pretty damn good oscillator for this one. And 4-hour RSI's regained the exponential. So this would imply another run towards the prior high at around 734. But I don't believe that this one's running things any longer. I forgot to check the oscillators on CMEs. Let's go check them out. And what are they doing right now? We do see daily Stokes. They are down, but they're weak. It's weak right now. And here's the thing. More importantly, we do have this formation going on right over here, which for whatever reason looks like it's not right. Let's get it right. So something like this. And I would be saying that even if you do see the Stokes carry on further down, they're likely to find support along this region. It's not until they actually break this rising support trend line when I look for a deeper retracement, down into the mid 4,000s and below. So again, Bitcoin still has a lot of work to do, and actually this is a pretty good close on Friday, to be fair. And that actually makes me feel a lot better about getting rid of that resting order. I do not want to be having orders in right now while we're kind of approaching these areas. And it's it's a weekend time. I don't believe that this is the best time to be putting on positions. Okay, cool. Let's go check out the other top shitcoins. I'm curious what they're doing right now. Let's look at Mr. Butyrol. 172 and a half. Did close above our red 10 simple. We actually did get the move that we were looking for yesterday all the way up to 177 and a half. If I'm looking at Mr. Butyrol, I do think that this one tries to continue on and probably does take a move towards 182. So our first target was hit. Second target would be 182 and a quarter now, as this did have a pretty damn good close. Looking at this, does that make me more bullish on Bitcoin? Perhaps, yeah. Perhaps. Let's go over here to the weekly. Weekly's finding support off the yellow 21. I do like that overall. What about the 3-day? 3-day had a decent close. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. It's Bitcoin that's making me a little bit skeptical right now. Mr. Butyrol, all he needs to do is hold 170. 170. As long as Mr. Butyrol holds 170, I do look for some more upside, and I would be targeting about 182 and a quarter, 182 and a half. And it does look a little bit more likely. But does Mr. Butyrol run this market? No, he does not. It's Mr. Bitcoin who does. So, usually these things do move together. So it does look to me like this one is more bullish, but if Bitcoin turns down, as with any alt, if Bitcoin turns down, usually my philosophy is that the alts are going to turn down no matter what their names are. So I don't care how bullish this one looks. It still takes a backseat to Bitcoin as far as, leading the market. Let's go check out Mrs. Litecoin. What's she doing? Right over here, Mrs. Litecoin. Yep, actually hitting our first target as well at around 85 and a quarter. Sorry, no, my target was higher. I think my target was around 88. Was it? I forget, man. I forget. Someone remind me. I do think that this one does reach higher, though. If I'm looking at Mrs. Litecoin, I do think that I would still have that $88.50 target. So yes, I would say that Mrs. Litecoin looks a little bit more like she wants to perk up as well. Daily Stokes are coming down, but we're going sideways. So that just allows the oscillator to kind of reset while price action sideways, and would imply some more momentum. And more importantly, just like I have the rule on the 12-hour Bitcoin, for the golden cross, we have the daily golden cross right over here, the green 55 and the purple 200. We are still above the 21, so I can't be bearish as long as we're above that area, which is 79. So yeah, I'm actually very happy with taking off that position right over here, or sorry, that resting order. I do not believe that is what I want to be doing right now. After looking at the alts, they are implying a little bit more upwards, whereas Bitcoin, Bitcoin looks like it wants to come down a little bit. So yeah, let's see what else we got. Which is time to check out the shitcoins. We can look at some shitcoins. Did our target get hit on Cardano? Yes, it did. 1500 even to the dot, actually a little bit below, 5 sats below 1495. And I would be looking for a bounce here most likely. How high does the bounce get? If it comes back up to around 1570, 1580ish area, I think that would look okay. But this one overall a little bit on the weaker side. Daily RSI going to be getting into the bearish control zone for the first time in about a couple months. What does a weekly look like? Weekly support is lower, so if this thing does want to make a beeline lower, it very easily could tap 1400, but I do think that it bounces here first and foremost. The thing about the weekly is that we are going to be seeing the weekly Stokes cross the downside, so we could have a few days of bounce on the daily and then come back down lower to the 1400ish area. But yes, the first target being hit, I'd be looking for a bounce here most likely. Let's go look at BNB. BNB taking it. Oh my God, hit our target at about $22. Basically right there, 21.99 cents. Close enough, man. That's fucking close enough. That's good enough for me. I do believe that this area does provide a little bit of resistance on the first pass, as we've seen right here, but I'd be looking for this area to provide support. I probably already have it marked in right around $20 and about 20 cents. So overall, I do think that this one probably does try to continue. And if it does continue, my next target, if we do take out $22, I would be looking at a next target of around 25, or is this 25? Yeah, about $25. Very strong move. Very strong move. Weekly is very strong as well. Again, this one, hitting all of our targets, and to me, probably looks like it wants to continue. Probably does pull back first. Probably pulls back first. I'd be looking for a move back down here again. About $21 first target, but really, I want to see about $20 and a quarter tested. That would look good to me. And then if that gets picked up, then yes, this one very likely goes higher. Zcash right over here. What are we looking at on Zcash? Consolidating right now. Does want to come back down to about $69. Looks like to me, but again, going to follow the rest of the market. I don't think this one really has an identity of its own. Bcash coming down. So yes, we were looking at the 4-hour last night, and the 4-hour was looking droopy. I do still think that my target over here at about 285 gets hit. We're about $10 off that right now. I do think that we probably see that later today, as this one does have some news going on. Daily would actually be a little bit lower at around 275. So keep that in mind. Or sorry, not even 275, 273. So lower, and it looks like we are going to be piercing through the 200 exponential right over here as the daily Stokes do cross down. So yes, I do believe that this one does, yes, it does hit our lower time frame targets of 285, but ultimately I do want to see it go lower than that, all the way down at the very least to about 273. Tron Cash, what's he doing? That's a rejection. This one's going to be coming back down to 2.5 cents most likely, and I do believe that it does not look strong here. If technically yes, 2.5 cents is going to be support, but this is not what you want to see on price action right now. Weekly support is going to be all the way down here at about 2.45 cents, and here's the thing, that's going to start to get a little bit hairy. I'll leave it at that. I do believe that we probably do make it down there, and then after that we probably do bounce there on the first pass, but we'll take it one step at a time. But that would not look good. It would not look good. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with just saying, hey, first target 2.5 cents, and we'll judge it from there. Neo. No opinion, no real. I mean, this is just going to follow the rest of the market. Does kind of look like it wants to come back down here to about $10 even. Not a big fan of this one right here. Getting rejected just as soon as it kind of took out this area. Not a sign of strength. But again, going to follow the rest of the market. EOS wants to come down. 520 would be my first target. What about the weekly? Yeah, if the weekly, here's the thing about the weekly. If the weekly takes out 509, this thing will come down a lot further at around 462.5. So keep in mind that there's, there's a lot to be aware of in this area. But I do believe that 520 bounces it on first pass. Then we'll figure it out from there. We'll figure it out from there. Let's look at the weekly Stokes. Weekly Stokes getting way up there. Yeah, we haven't seen this level since December 2017 as well. And we are technically still in the context of this rising channel, to be fair, which is a bearish, leaves all pattern for the most part. But yeah, I do think that this one bounces at 520. We'll judge it from there though, and go for and move forwards. Ripple Cash, 33 cents. Yep, getting faded as soon as it gets started. My God, this one looks to me like it wants to come back down. Weekly is atrocious, man. Weekly is atrocious. Again, it's kind of doing its own thing in a way. It's kind of doing its own thing. I would be having a target somewhere right around 31.7 cents-ish area, somewhere down around here, most likely. Going over back to the daily. I mean, it is fine in supporting this area, but it's overall very weak. Again, gonna follow the rest of the market, but it is a laggard and it is weak. So if the market goes down, this one's gonna get absolutely pummeled. If the market goes up, this one's gonna follow, but not be as strong. If the market goes up, we did hit our 34.5 cent target right over here. To be fair. Now, I mean, it's right in the middle. I don't like taking trades in the middle. I'll just back off on saying anything from this. If I had to pick direction, it'd be down, but I wouldn't be picking direction here. It's not the time to pick a trade. We got the trade yesterday. Be happy with that. Daily on Monero. Daily on Monero looks okay. We're right on support, right on this $67.50 support. Again, going to follow the rest of the market. I would say that there are a few bearish indications here, but I'd give it the benefit of the doubt at the same time. If this thing does turn down, I'd be having a target at 65.5 bucks. It does look a little bit more down, to be fair. Again, it's going to follow Bitcoin, man. It's going to follow Bitcoin. Stellar Cash looks exactly like Mr. Ripple's nipples. Very sultry, but very weak indeed. Yeah, support down around 10 cents. Unless again, it's gonna need strength from the broader market to bring this one up. Not a big fan of what's going on right here. Rejection. This one didn't even hit our target last night. I think I had a target around 12 cents. We got up to we actually got up to 12 cents. So 11.9 cents. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, cool. So I think that does it for that. Let's go look at traditional markets. SPY closing the day up actually by about half a buck, but I do believe that we are putting in a top right here, and I do believe that the next move is going to be a pullback down. Am I bearish on this? No, I'm not bearish on this. But look at the weekly. Weekly kind of closed as a little bit of a doji, a little bit of a spinning top, whatever you want to call it, a sign of indecision. And if we do take out the low of this at 288.5, which I do think is quite likely, from a higher time perspective, I'd be looking down around here to fill the gap right around 283.5, 283 to 282.5 right over here, and would be looking to be a buyer there on first pass for a bounce. If we break that area, then we can start talking about deeper retracements down to below 280 to 277. But for now, I would be looking for a retracement coming in next week. We probably do open the week down and be looking down in this range most likely over the next week. So yeah. Let's go check out. Want to look at some Forex? Let's look at some Forex, baby. Let's look at some Forex. What do we got? Let's look at Canadian dollar versus Japanese dollar, yen, whatever the fuck. What does this want to do? Weekly kind of wants to rally, but daily's bearish. Daily wants to come back down. I'd say first target would be 83.5, and over time looks like wants to come down to about 82 and 75 cents. What does a weekly look like? Yeah, weekly a little bit different though. Now the thing is, you can fit a lot of dailies into a week, so a lot of things can happen between now and in the next week's end. But I'm curious about the month, as we will be coming into confluence with that as well. And so far, the monthly is a rejection, so I would be leaning down. I do believe that this one does come further down, and I do believe that both those targets will be met. First things first, down around here to about 83.5, and then second target would be somewhere right around 82.75. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for Mr. Forex, and let's get back on over into Mr. Bitcoin, wrap this bitch up, and then ship him home. And of course, with Mr. Bitcoin right now, Still crawling its way along this area on the lower time frames. I don't, yes, we've beaten the higher time frames to death. It's the lower time frames that I'm sure most people are interested in right now. If I were looking for very short-term trades, yeah, could take a trade off this blue box territory right over here. I do believe that we probably do fill out this area more, but coming into the end of the week, that's going to be the next likely trade. As we do get insight into where the weekly moving averages are going to diverge or converge, we get insight into whether we open up or down where corresponding to where CME's closed yesterday night. And overall, the picture is still this. Still an ascending triangle if you're bullish. If you're bearish, you're looking at this as distribution, but it's still too early to call it distribution. We need to put in more time in this area. Like another week in this area, most likely, before that's even, really even possible to kind of denote. For right now, it's way too early. Only if we broke 5,100 to the downside would I be looking for, this actually to play out first to 4,900 and then 4,550-ish area. So it's again a game of waiting. If you're on the very low time frames, resistance right here, 5260, support right here, 5190, break 5190, looking for a move down to 5100, break 5300 to the upside, looking for a move towards 57, maybe 58. If we break, again, 5100 to the downside, target 49, 45, and 41. So that's going to do it for today. Beautiful speaking with you on this beautiful Good Friday. I don't know if I'll do a stream later today just because it is kind of a holiday, so unless we get some price action, or maybe I'll just be bored later and want to go on anyways, but I'll leave that kind of open. And of course, want to be wishing you well. Want to be wishing you the best Good Fridays out there possible to all the celebrators. And if it's not Good Friday for you, well, I wish you a happy Friday anyways. So with that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.